Hey, thanks for tuning into Revelations. It's a series on evangelism and discipleship, and we're hoping our viewers will get a fresh revelation as to how God is still working through the church today, and also a fresh revelation as to the part that each church member should be playing within the body of Christ. Today, we're in Miami, Florida, visiting ECHOcuba, and with me is Dr. Teo Babin. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Babin.
Thank you, Chuck, for the invitation to be here with you.
You're so welcome. Well, tell us about ECHOcuba. What does that stand for?
Well, ECHOcuba stands for Evangelical Christian Humanitarian Outreach to Cuba. It is a ministry that was started 15 years ago when Cuba began to allow churches to function again in Cuba, and our mission is to strengthen and support the emerging church in Cuba.
Good. I understand Cuba is a unique mission field. Tell us about that.
It sure is, because it's a socialist country, it's a communist country, although it's only 90 miles away from the United States. It is a very restrictive country. And it is a country that was an atheist government that did not allow churches to function before 1984. So the church has only been around for a very short period of time.
Well, we don't want our viewers to forget about our brothers and sisters in the Lord here in Cuba, especially that they're so close. How can the church here in the U.S. strengthen and come alongside a ministry like yours and get involved?
Please don't forget Cuba. The church in Cuba is an emerging church. It is a young church. It is a church that is in a lot of having a lot of difficulties, and one way that people can help the church in Cuba is to perhaps travel to Cuba on an organized mission trip that we help organize as well as others, and to visit your brethren, to look at the church, to visit with them, encourage them, and to help support some of the programs that are taking place.
That's great. Well, stay tuned as we go behind the scenes and get some more interviews with some of the key staff members, some supporters of the ministry, and hopefully you too can get a fresh vision on how we can help encourage and equip the church in Cuba. God bless.
The mission of ECHOcuba is really to strengthen the independent churches in Cuba, to really give them the tools that they need in order to advance the gospel, to get the word out about Jesus. And some ways that they do that is really by helping and providing physically and spiritual needs for the leaders there and for the church, so that the church can be equipped to go out and serve the island.
With ministries there in Cuba, we empower them to provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner to elderly people, people who are malnutrition, people who live in the rural areas who cannot get to headquarters where they have breakfast, lunch, and dinners. We bring them packaged foods. Well, the volunteers we have in Cuba bring them packaged foods.
The Solomon Project is about creating the opportunity for everyday Cubans to have an ample variety of knowledge. They live in a country that likes to dictate their everyday needs and moves and concerns and what the accepted norms are. And the Solomon Project basically aims at expanding the reach of knowledge to everyday Cubans. It's about getting materials out there just regular books on different topics and different things that they have limited exposure to, if any at all.
Cuba tends to create an image to the international community, including the socialist constitution, that the Cuban citizens have liberty to profess their religious beliefs, which is a lie. And it's a very simple lie. The Cuban socialist ideology bases itself in materialism, and it's completely antagonistic to the Christian belief.
Many times Cubans have to make the moral decision of whether they're going to stand up for Christ or if they're going to go ahead and follow the rules of the government. And that's such a hard predicament to be in.
I think it's so important for people to talk about Cuba outside of what the stereotypical conversation on Cuba is. People think of old cars, think of, old colonial buildings. They think of politics. They think of beaches and palm trees. But the reality is that it's, 11 million people who are suffering daily just to put food on the table, and suffering daily with a great amount of pressure in a country that is an island, has little contact with the rest of the world, and suffers greatly, and yet perseveres.
Well, we hope that Christians in our country help the Cubans by praying for the Cuban church, by providing assistance to ministries such as ours. You can go to our website at www.ECHOcuba, spelled ECHOcuba.org, and send your help directly through the website. Travel with us to Cuba. Let us take you and hold your hands and show you how the Cubans are emerging as a church.